Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Sunday, September 16th, 2018. Today I'm going to recap last night's big fight between Triple G and Canelo Alvarez. Then I'll go over the college football results from yesterday, give out takeaways as I go. I'll go over yesterday's baseball games, look ahead to today's games, and I'll discuss where college GameDay is headed next week, and I'll do my predictions on how the AP poll will shake out. All right, you heard it. Canelo over Triple G by majority decision. This was a great fight, and I think Triple G actually should have won. Alvarez is now 51-2 with 34 knockouts. And Triple G, that was his first career loss. He's now 38-1-1 with 34 knockouts. So a great fight. Now there's talks about a rematch going on, and it'd be a fun rematch if they were to face off again, because this was a pretty good fight. College football. Some interesting results from yesterday. Number 3, Georgia defeated Middle Tennessee 49-7. Another win for Kirby Smart's team. And you got to take advantage of these inferior teams if you are Georgia. In Middle Tennessee, this is the second bad blowout loss against an SEC team. This time it's against a better team than what they saw in Week 1. So I can't really fault them for losing to Georgia. I still think Middle's probably a bowl team, but they're probably more likely to go 6-6 rather than 8-4. Kentucky defeated Murray State 48-10. You got to take advantage of these bad teams from the FCS if you are Kentucky. Tennessee defeated UTEP 24-0. You got to put away the bad teams, especially ones that are in the FCS, but UTEP is perhaps the worst FBS team in the country. And the Vols had to take advantage of it, and they did. And they are now 2-1 on the year. Kansas defeated Rutgers 55-14. Very surprised with this result. Rutgers was missing their quarterback, but I'm very surprised by the fact that Kansas blew them out. I really thought that Rutgers would win this game. They have more talent, the better coaching staff. But what a big win for Dave Beatty. But who knows, he's probably still going to get fired because he'll probably go winless in the Big 12. Unless somebody's quarterback is hurt or Kansas takes advantage of somebody looking ahead. Like what happened with Texas a couple years ago. Indiana defeated Ball State 38-10. A big and much needed win for the Hoosiers with Sparty coming up. Ball State. It's alright, you were supposed to lose that game. But I have to give them some credit because they kept Notre Dame close. But, hey, maybe that the fact that they lost bad to Indiana makes me realize a two-part thing. That Ball State maybe just took advantage of Notre Dame at the right time, or Notre Dame isn't as good as they showed in Week 1, because we'll get to them in a second. A very surprising result as well. Temple defeated Maryland 35-14. Temple, huge win. They're 1-2. Maybe they can get to 6-6 eventually. Maryland, bad loss. You were home and you got blown out after a 2-0 start with an upset win over Texas. And that is absolutely a brutal loss for their head coach. Number 5, Oklahoma defeated Iowa State 37-27. Revenge win for the Sooners. It was a close game like I thought, but I thought the Sooners would win by double digits. I actually thought it'd be a 10-point game, and I was right. Kyler Murray was great through the air. Iowa State's now 0-2. I still think this is a bowl team. They just have to pick off some people in conference. I know that opening week game getting canceled really hurt them a little bit. But they still have a favorable schedule with some good games at home. Still have Kansas, you still have Baylor. And maybe you do pick off like a Kansas State or a West Virginia down the road, or a Oklahoma State or a TCU. Number 2, Clemson defeated Georgia Southern 38-7. Clemson had to go out there and take advantage of the inferior opponent, and they did. Georgia Southern was actually my pick to win one of the divisions of the Sun Belt, whatever division they're in. I think they're in the East Division. That's not looking so hot right now, but there's always conference play. Syracuse defeated Florida State 30-7. Big win for Dino Babers and the Orange. I picked Syracuse in this game. I absolutely loved them in this spot. And they came through. Florida State, meanwhile, boy, I don't know if that's a bowl team. At worst, maybe 6-6. Or I should say at best. What a mess. Willie Taggart, my prediction for them before the season was that people will be saying Willie Taggart wasn't a great hire because they go 5-7. I mean 7-5. But oh my God, they might actually go 5-7. I predicted 7-5 for them before the year, and I said I think they'd go 7-5, and people are gonna scratch their heads and say, was he really the right hire? People are scratching their heads, and it's week 3. What a disaster in Tallahassee right now. 21 Miami defeated Toledo 49-20. Big win for Miami. They are putting that LSU loss behind them. That loss all of a sudden looks better. We'll get to LSU soon. Big win for the Canes, knocking off one of the better group of 5 teams. Toledo, I still think this is one of the better teams in the MAC. But they just lost to a more superior team, that's all. Troy defeated Nebraska 24-19. Huge upset for Troy. They're 2-1 now. And that Boise State loss, we'll get to Boise State in a minute. That doesn't look great right now, but what an upset for Troy. They might actually win the Sun Belt Conference. Brutal loss for Nebraska. They're 0-2. That first game getting canceled, I think, really set that team back. And who knows, maybe they're not a bowl team either. Number 11, Penn State defeated Kent State 63-10. Good job by the Nittany Lions taking care of a inferior opponent in Kent State. There's some folks out there that think Kent State's improved, which they might be. But I need to see it to believe it in conference play. And good job by Penn State. And that almost Appalachian State disaster might actually not turn out to be all that bad. App State could be a team that wins the Sun Belt Conference. But Penn State is awesome. I picked them to make the playoff before the season. And I think their season's only going to go upward from here. Army defeated Hawaii 28-21. Big win for Army, with Hawaii traveling 6 hours across the country. And I have to give Hawaii some credit. They, like I said, 6 hours across the country and were competitive in this game. And Army's a pretty good team. I think people were sleeping on Army before the year. Obviously, people were sleeping on Hawaii, too. Hawaii really showed me something in this game. I thought this was going to be a blowout and the Hawaii train was going to be done. But this is obviously a team that is going to make a bowl game and is the surprise of the Mountain West Conference so far this season at 3-1. UConn defeated Rhode Island 56-49. I actually took Rhode Island for the upset. I was wrong. UConn gets the win. And this is probably the only win of UConn's season unless they find a way to pick off like an East Carolina or something. Pitt defeated Georgia Tech 24-19. I took Pitt. I was right. Good bounce back win for Pitt after that debacle against Penn State. Bad loss for Georgia Tech. And the Yellow Jackets may not make a bowl. Meanwhile, Pitt could very well make a bowl. UAB defeated Tulane 31-24. Big win for UAB over one of the better teams in the American. Or I should say one of the more improved teams in the American. And UAB is a team that I picked to win the CUSA West over North Texas. That looks like a mistake. North Texas I'll get to soon, but UAB is good. And Tulane, I can't really fault them for this loss. They're on the road against one of the better Conference USA teams. They could still make a bowl if they win 5 more games. Number 9, Stanford defeated UC Davis 30-10. No Bryce Love. They sat him out due to precautionary reasons. He'll be ready to go next week against Oregon. And Bryce Love or not, you have to take care of FCS opponents if you are a top 10 team in the country, let alone a Power 5 or an FBS team, and especially if you're home. Number 8, Notre Dame defeated Vanderbilt 22-17. Another close win for the Irish. Vanderbilt, I have to give them credit for hanging around in this game. They're not bad. I think Vanderbilt can go to a bowl this year. Notre Dame, meanwhile, are they really this good? You should be absolutely killing Ball State and beating Vanderbilt by double digits. So, kind of a disappointment that they're giving them games. But hey, maybe Ball State. Last week I was saying Ball State could be better than given credit for, but as I mentioned, they got blown out by Indiana. But I'm buying the Vanderbilt's better than people think narrative, though. Because I think they're going to make a bowl game this year. I had them as my surprise bowl team from the SEC this season. Number 12, LSU defeated number 7, Auburn 22-21. Huge win for Ed Orgeron and his program. Orgeron's on the verge, I think, of saving his job, if he didn't already, with the Miami win and now this win. Cole Tracy, 42-yarder at the buzzer to give LSU the win. What a win for Orgeron. I can't keep saying it enough. This team should absolutely be in the top 10 of the AP poll come today once the rankings come out. Auburn, meanwhile, heartbreaking loss. I can't say it was a disaster that they lost this game because if they win out and LSU loses somewhere along the line, let's say to Alabama and Auburn beats Bama, maybe things could break right for Auburn. So I'm not willing to write them off yet. USF defeated Illinois 25-19. This game was much closer than I anticipated it to be. USF, I thought, could have been one of the surprise teams of the American this year in terms of a higher win total. But meanwhile, Illinois, I have to give them props for hanging around here. Maybe they're better than we thought. Maybe Rutgers is actually the worst team in the Big Ten rather than Illinois. Number 19, Michigan defeated SMU 45-20. The Mustangs hung around in this one for a while, then Shea Patterson and the Wolverines pulled away late. I expect the Wolves to move up in the power rankings and in the AP poll and whatnot. SMU, meanwhile, they're 0-3. They could be the worst team in the American, other than UConn, potentially. Duke defeated Baylor 40-27, and no Daniel Jones either. So this is a surprising result to some, as Baylor was a 6-point favorite. I was all over Duke. I literally was screaming, why is Baylor a 6-point favorite? Remember last week on my podcast I went on that rant? Well, that was a rant that was worth doing because I was proven right. But at the time, in fairness, I didn't know that Daniel Jones was hurt. I saw that in the middle of the week, and I'm like, oh, But that line still is a little high, even though Jones is hurt. But I took Duke anyway, because they have more talent on their team than Baylor, and yes, I was proven right. And wouldn't be shocked if Duke's ranked this week. And meanwhile, Baylor, you couldn't take advantage of a team that was missing its starting quarterback. First loss of the year. Maybe Baylor is better than we think. Maybe they are a bowl team, but we'll see. Minnesota defeats Miami of Ohio 26-3. Minnesota's 3-0. Miami of Ohio is 0-3. Miami of Ohio may not be that good. Minnesota might be a surprise Big Ten contender this year. We'll get to Wisconsin right now as they dropped one at home to BYU 24-21. Brutal loss for Wisconsin. That's a terrible loss. I'm just going to go on a limb and say this is not a playoff team. I think their hopes of making the college football playoff are over. They have a tough schedule ahead. They have to play Penn State. They have to play Michigan. They have a tough road game this upcoming week at Iowa. We'll do guess the lines tomorrow. So, what a bad loss for Paul Chryst and the Wisconsin Badgers. Meanwhile, BYU, huge win. This might be a team that could make a bowl game. Good for BYU. 24 Oklahoma State defeated 17 Boise State 44-21. Impressive win for Mike Gundy's squad. I picked Boise State. I was wrong. This ends pretty much any shot Boise State had at making the college football playoff. They still have a chance to make a New Year's Six Bowl, assuming that UCF doesn't win out again. Because they probably have a better team than UCF. And UCF has losable games on their schedule and a more tougher schedule down the stretch. But hey, you never know. Good for the Cowboys. They might be actually a contender in the Big 12 this year. I actually had them as my surprise of the Big 12 in terms of contenders. I had them ahead of West Virginia, I believe, in my preseason predictions. I had TCU second, Oklahoma first. Or no, I had TCU first and Oklahoma second, but Oklahoma winning the Big 12 championship game. Then Oklahoma State third, and then the Mountaineers of West Virginia fourth. But I had both Oklahoma State and West Virginia at 9-3. I predicted a big year for the Big 12 in terms of good teams. So that Oklahoma State surprise team prediction is looking pretty good right now. Navy defeated Lehigh 51-21. You got to take advantage of FCS teams on your schedule if you're Navy. And that Hawaii loss isn't looking all that bad now because Hawaii's 3-1. And they could have potentially beaten Army. Northern Illinois defeats Central Michigan 24-16. You had to get this game if you were Northern Illinois. Take advantage of a inferior team. Central Michigan probably not making a bowl game. North Texas not only upsets Arkansas, but destroys Arkansas 44-17. Huge win for the Mean Green. I think the Mean Green are the favorites in the Conference USA, even over FAU at this point. FAU hasn't really done that much, to be honest. And North Texas has been so impressive. They kill SMU at home. And then they kill Arkansas at Arkansas. So maybe North Texas, dare I say, could be the 2016 Central Michigan-esque team. Or I'm sorry, Western Michigan-esque. That's remained to be seen. I'm going to assume no. But wow, what a big win for the Mean Green of North Texas. And I won't be shocked if they get votes in the AP poll. Florida defeats Colorado State 48-10. Florida takes care of business against an inferior team. Colorado State's not very good, although they picked off Arkansas. But let's face it, Arkansas is the worst team in the SEC this season. I think that's fair to say. Kansas State defeats UTSA 41-17. Good job by Bill Snyder's team taking care of business. UTSA, I still think they can make a bowl game, but their non-con's very, very difficult. And they have a soft schedule coming up starting this week. Bowling Green defeats Eastern Kentucky 42-35. You got to take advantage of FCS teams if you're Bowling Green. Wyoming defeats Wofford 17-14. That's concerning that Wyoming barely beat an FCS team. Maybe Wyoming isn't a bowl team. But we all overrated this team before the year, I think, and they might be headed for 6-6 rather than 8-4 like people thought. Texas Tech defeats Houston 63-49. Huge win for Texas Tech. Maybe they'll be in play for a bowl. Houston, meanwhile, brutal loss on the road. I think Houston's better than Texas Tech, and I think Houston cost themselves any chance of a playoff spot or a New Year's Six as well. Virginia defeats Ohio 45-31. Big win for Virginia on Vanderbilt's campus. I actually had Ohio winning this game. I was wrong. Maybe Virginia's a bowl team. In Ohio, it's okay. I think you're still a good team in the MAC, but I don't know if you're the favorite anymore. I'll get to a team in the MAC in a little bit that I think's the favorite. Colorado defeats New Hampshire 45-14. Good job, Colorado, taking care of business against an FCS opponent. Number 20, Oregon defeats San Jose State 35-22. I can't believe the Ducks let San Jose State hang around in here. I think Oregon was just looking ahead to Stanford, but a win's a win. And San Jose State's one of the worst teams in the country. Cal defeats Idaho State 45-23. Good job by Cal taking care of business against an inferior team from the FCS. FAU defeats Bethune-Cookman 49-28. FAU taking care of business against an FCS school. Buffalo defeats Eastern Michigan 35-28. Buffalo's the team that I think should be considered the favorites in the MAC. They have a big game at Rutgers this week that I wouldn't be shocked if they're favored in. Eastern Michigan's a pretty solid team, too. They knocked off Purdue. So, two solid teams from the MAC played a pretty good game, and I really like the Bulls. Number 1, Alabama destroys Ole Miss 62-7. Yet another impressive win for Nick Saban, Tua Tagovailoa, and the Crimson Tide. Jordan Tiamu threw a touchdown pass on the first play of the game, and they haven't done anything since then. So Ole Miss looks like a fraud, and Alabama looks like the best team in the country. Nevada defeats Oregon State 37-35. Nevada had to have this game, and they got it. Oregon State's one of the worst Power 5 teams. And I have to give the Beavers credit for hanging around. I think that they'll pick somebody off in Pac-12 play. They could very well come this upcoming weekend. We'll get to that game tomorrow when we do Guess the Lines. But good job by Nevada. This might be the 6, 7, 8 win team in the Mountain West that everybody, or I should say that nobody really saw coming. In terms of 8 wins, maybe if the one that nobody saw coming and everybody thought that would be Wyoming. And who knows, it could be Nevada, it could be Utah State, could be Hawaii. Cincinnati defeats Alabama A&M 63-7. Good job by the Bearcats taking care of an FCS school. Arkansas State defeated Tulsa 29-20. I was all over Arkansas State on this game, and they got the job done. They're the better team. They got the win on the road. Huge win for them. They can win the Sun Belt Conference. Sun Belt has 3 really good teams in there with Arkansas State, Appalachian State, and Troy. And UL Monroe's up there too. Tulsa could make a bowl in theory. They're 1-2. But if they win 5 more games, then they'll be a bowl team. Western Michigan defeated Delaware State 68-0. Good job by Western to not only destroy but shut out an FCS school. That's what you're supposed to do. South Alabama defeats Texas State 41-31. South Alabama had to come from behind and win this game. They're the better team than Texas State. Texas State's one of the worst teams in the Sun Belt. And so is South Alabama. But who knows, maybe the Jags can surprise some folks this year. Because there always tends to be that surprise team from the Sun Belt every year. Number 16, Mississippi State defeats Louisiana 56-10. Good job by the Bulldogs defeating an inferior team. Louisiana, they're not that good, but they play better in conference play. But we'll see with them. Missouri defeats Purdue 40-37. What a crushing loss for Purdue. They had to have this one. They couldn't get it. Mizzou's 3-0. Maybe Mizzou is a surprise out of the SEC this year. Purdue, meanwhile, they're probably not even making a bowl. What a disappointment for Jeff Brom. 3 close losses for Purdue. Texas A&M defeats UL Monroe 48-10. Good job by the Aggies by not looking past UL Monroe. Not that I thought A&M would ignore them anyway. I just thought that UL Monroe would cover the spread, but they didn't. Good job by A&M. Next up is the best team in the land, the Crimson Tide of the University of Alabama. And UL Monroe, meanwhile, I mentioned them a little bit before, could be a surprise team in the Sun Belt this year. They knocked off Southern Miss, but they get blown out by Texas A&M. But A&M is better than given credit for, I think. Especially after how they performed against Clemson and probably should have won that game. Iowa defeats Northern Iowa 38-14. Big win for Iowa. Not looking past an FCS opponent. Next up for them is Wisconsin. And I think they have a big chance to defeat them outright this upcoming weekend, especially with how Wisconsin looked against BYU. Louisville defeated Western Kentucky 20-17. Oof. Western Kentucky's not very good, and Louisville almost lost to them. Louisville's now 2-1. Western's 0-3. Western is not a bowl team. Yeah, their quarterback's hurt, but they're not making a bowl. Akron upsets Northwestern 39-34. What a big win for Akron. Maybe they're a surprise team from the MAC this year. Like that 6-win team that people thought would be Miami of Ohio. Or even Ball State for that matter. Bad loss for Northwestern. That's not a bowl team. And I really love Pat Fitzgerald and what he's done with that program. This is shaping out to be a disappointing year for them. They got the win against Purdue in a game that I think Purdue should have won. And if they didn't win that game, they'd be the 0-3 team that people would be panicking about, not Purdue. FIU defeats UMass 63-24. What a huge win for Butch Davis's team. They're looking to exceed expectations again, and it sure looks like they will. Meanwhile, UMass, people thought they'd be improved. They're not. Texas defeats number 22 USC 37-14. No, I don't want to hear the Joe Tessitore call of Texas is back, folks. No. It's just one game over what I think is an overrated USC team with a rookie quarterback, or I should say a freshman quarterback on the road. But I'll give Texas its due. Good win. But I don't want to do the Joe Tessitore proclaim from 2 years ago until I see Texas in big bowl games, which means New Year's Six or college football playoffs. I'm not buying the Texas is back narrative quite yet. Like I said, I'm giving Texas its due. Big win for Tom Herman, probably the biggest win in Tom Herman's Texas career so far. Now let's see if they can knock off some of the big boys in the Big 12 like in Oklahoma or West Virginia, because I think that there's a chance they do. Washington State defeats Eastern Washington 59-24. Good job by the Huskies taking care of an FCS school. Number 4 Ohio State defeats number 15 TCU 40-28. Big win for the Buckeyes. They go 3-0 without Urban Meyer. Meyer comes back next week. Can't fault TCU for this loss. Ohio State is just a better team. Although I think TCU could have won the game if not for some turnovers and whatnot. Not to suggest that TCU is a bad team. I still think TCU is the second best team in the Big 12 on paper. Although folks in Morgantown have something to say about that. But big win for the Ohio State Buckeyes after it not looking too promising there in the middle of that game. New Mexico defeats New Mexico State 42-25. Bob Davies with the big win. New Mexico State is such a big disappointment in my opinion. UNLV defeats Prairie View A&M 46-17. Good job by UNLV taking care of an FCS school. Number 10, Washington defeats Utah 21-7. I think Utah had several chances in this game. They kept going for it on fourth down and not getting the big first down, so that's what cost them this game. Good job by Jake Browning and company getting the win and moving on. San Diego State defeats 23 Arizona State 28-21. As I predicted on this podcast, I was all over this. Big time win by the Aztecs, and Herm Edwards finally gets a college football loss in his college football resurgent career. I don't expect the Sun Devils to be ranked this week or for the rest of the season for that matter, unless they pick off some conference opponents that I don't foresee. Fresno State destroys UCLA 38-14. I had Fresno in this game, and they won. Fresno is one of the better teams in the Mountain West. I actually thought that there was a chance they were going to take a step back. I've been wrong. They're right there with San Diego State for the best team in the West Division of that conference. Meanwhile, UCLA could be the worst team in the Pac-12. And I really believe that they are, because Oregon State at least has been competitive, even though you could argue the Bruins have more talent. Arizona defeats Southern Utah 62-31. Arizona finally gets a win. Granted, against an FCS team, it was a much-needed win for Kevin Sumlin and company. So those are the results for Sunday. Baseball. Last night and yesterday, Nats defeat the Braves 7-1. The Nats are 75-74. Atlanta's 83-65. Their 6-game winning streak is over. Jeffrey Rodriguez with the win. Julio Teheran with the loss. Dodgers defeat the Cardinals 17-4. Yasiel Puig hit 3 homers. Dodgers are 82-67. Cards are 81-68. Rich Hill with the win. John Gant with the loss. The Indians defeat the Tigers 15-0. The Indians, yet again, are AL Central champions for the 3rd straight year, and they're 83-65 on the season. Detroit 60-88. Mike Clevenger with the win. Michael Fulmer with the loss. The Red Sox defeated the Mets 5-3. The Sox are 102-47. The Mets are 69-79. Rick Porcello with the win. Paul Sewell with the loss. Craig Kimbrell with the save. The Cubs defeat the Reds 1-0. The Cubs are 87-61. The Reds are 63-86. John Lester with the win. Sal Romano with the loss. Steve Chizik with the save. The Blue Jays defeat the Yankees 8-7. Toronto 66-82. The Yanks are 91-57. Sean Reed Foley with the win. CC Sabathia with the loss. Kent Giles with the save. Yanks were down 8-1 in this game. Their offense put up a 6 spot in the 7th inning to make it interesting, but Toronto hangs on. The Rays defeat the Athletics 7-5. Rays are 81-66. A's are 90-59. Andrew Kitteridge with the win. Jesus Familia with the loss. Sergio Romo with the save. Tampa hangs on, and the Yanks are still up a game and a half on the A's for the home field advantage wildcard spot. So the Yanks can thank Tampa Bay for that. White Sox defeat the O's 2-0. The Sox are 59-89. Baltimore's 42-106. Reynaldo Lopez with the win. Jeffrey Ramirez with the loss. Juan Minaya with the save. The Phillies defeat the Marlins 5-4. The Phils are 76-71. Miami's 57-91. Luis Garcia with the win. Drew Rosinski with the loss. Pat Neshek with the save. The Pirates defeat the Brewers 3-1. The Pirates are 73-74. Milwaukee's 85-64. Ivan Nova with the win. Zach Davies with the loss. Felipe Vasquez with the save. The Astros defeat the Diamondbacks 10-4. Houston's 93-55. Arizona 78-71. Charlie Morton with the win. Zach Godley with the loss. The Royals defeat the Twins 10-3. The Royals are 52-96. The Twins are 67-81. Ian Kennedy with the win. Chase DeYoung with the loss. The Rangers defeat the Padres 6-3. The Rangers are 64-84. San Diego's 59-90. Ariel Gerardo with the win. Jose Castillo with the loss. Jose Leclerc with the save. The Giants defeat the Rockies 3-0. Second straight shutout loss by the Rockies, who dropped to 81-67. The Giants are 70-79. Madison Bumgarner with the win. Herman Marquez with the loss. Will Smith with the save. So good job by San Francisco playing a little spoiler and helping out the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the Brewers, for that matter. The Mariners defeat the Angels 6-5. The Mariners are 82-66. The Angels are 73-76. James Pazos with the win. Jose Alvarez with the loss. Edwin Diaz with the save. Today's games, 1 o'clock. Blue Jays, Yanks. Yanks trying to take 2 out of 3. They have to do it. Lance Lynn against Thomas Pannone. White Sox, O's. Lucas Giolito, David Hess. Mets, Red Sox. Jacob deGrom and Chris Sale. Tigers, Indians. Francisco Liriano and Shane Bieber. A's, Rays. Mike Fiers and Diego Castillo. Big game for the A's to try to take advantage of the Yankees in case the Yankees drop another one to the Blue Jays at home. So the A's better take advantage of Tampa Bay if they want that home field advantage wild card game. And the Rays have been the best spoiler team down the stretch, and I don't think it's been close. Nats, Braves at 1:30. Tanner Roark and Sean Newcomb. Marlins, Phils. Jose Arena, Nick Pivetta. Pirates, Brewers at 2 o'clock. Trevor Williams and Joyce Chacin. Diamondbacks, Astros on TBS. Zach Greinke and Justin Verlander. That's a great pitching matchup. One of the better ones you're going to see this year, especially with the two pitchers pitching in the opposite leagues. I like the Astros in this spot to get the win here and to hold off Oakland for the division for at least another day. 2:15 Twins, Royals. Kyle Gibson and Jacob Junis. Reds, Cubs. Luis Castillo and Jose Quintana. 4 o'clock Rockies, Giants. Antonio Senzatella and Derek Rodriguez. Giants going for the sweep. Mariners, Angels. Marco Gonzalez and Jaime Barria. Rangers, Padres. Mike Minor and Jacob Nix. And Sunday Night Baseball, Dodgers, Cardinals. Ross Stripling and Adam Wainwright. Dodgers going for the 4-game sweep. Wainwright going out there trying to salvage the Cardinals from being swept at home. I actually think the Dodgers are going to pull this off. They're playing great baseball. Yasiel Puig's on fire. He should be in the lineup again tonight. And I expect the Dodgers to go out there and win against a pitcher in Wainwright that I just don't think isn't the same as he once was. But I think it'll be a close game. I could see it being like a 6-4 Dodgers win, maybe 5-3, something along those lines. College game day on Saturday is going to be held from Eugene, Oregon, as Stanford takes on Oregon. This was the right choice by ESPN. This is the best game on the slate. Two of the better teams in the Pac-12, and obviously in the Pac-12 North. There's 3 contenders in that division with those 2 in Washington. So that is the most deserving pick, and that game's obviously the 8 o'clock game on ABC on Saturday night as well. Should be a good one. Now I'm going to do my rankings predictions on how the AP pool, I think, will shake out. I'm going to go from 1 to 25. In this case, this is where I actually think 1 through 25 is more fun. 1, Alabama, duh. 2, Clemson, duh. 3, Georgia. 4, Ohio State. Those 2 could be debatable after Ohio State's win. 5, Oklahoma. 6, LSU. 7, Notre Dame. 8, Washington. 9, Stanford. 10, Penn State. 11, Auburn. 12, Virginia Tech. 13, West Virginia. 14, Mississippi State. 15, UCF. 16, Oklahoma State. 17, Michigan. 18, Oregon. 19, Miami. 20, TCU. 21, Wisconsin. 22, Boise State. 23, Texas. 24, Texas A&M. And 25, Michigan State. Although I don't feel good about the Michigan State pick. I don't think USC should be ranked after that pathetic performance and implosion at Texas. Well, that's it for today's podcast. I'll be back with everything tomorrow. Baseball power rankings. Looking ahead to tomorrow's games as well in baseball. do my college football power rankings, go over all the NFL games from yesterday, or I should say today, and look ahead to tomorrow's games. And I'll discuss anything else that goes on in the world of sports. A little breaking news before I go. Aaron Rodgers officially active against the Vikings. So that's good news for the Green Bay Packers. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.